Hi everyone, welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Happy Friday to you all. I hope you all had a great week and a great day. I know it's a little late, but I needed to relax and unwind before getting on here. I'm a little tired today, but I'm here, and I hope you guys are doing good. And before we get into this topic of discussion, know that I don't know where you guys are listening from, but we are in the middle of getting a major snow blizzard, which is probably going to take place Sunday night. So wherever you are, and if you are in the midst of this happening, make sure you have enough food, make sure you have candles. Some people might have a generator, but I don't. Candles and things like that, just in case the power go out. Because the type of snow they're talking about, like a foot, 2 feet of snow, can cause some damage, like with the power lines. So be aware of that. Make sure you have enough water, food, everything that you need, so that you don't have to try to travel in that type of weather. I was at the store earlier too. Another reason why I'm on here a little late, because it was so packed in the supermarket I could barely find a shopping cart. And it was just crazy. People just all over the place. I've never seen so many people in the supermarket at one time. So so that was a little bit of a delay because I wanted to make sure I get everything that I needed. So I'm here a little late, guys, but I'm here as I said I would be. That's why I never give a specific time, because there's always something going on. That's another goal for me, to free up my time so that I can have a specific time to come on. So please subscribe to the channel so that you guys can know when I'm here and you can join me. Still trying to figure out what's going on with trying to do a live on YouTube. I'm probably going to get a friend to help me. He's pretty good at doing these things. So when I can catch up with him and get him to help me to figure out what's going on here. But anyway, guys, remember, I'm not a therapist, social worker, or a counselor. Just somebody who's going through so much, and I talk about it because I want to help other people to understand that if I can go through this and come back from it, I'm going to talk to you about ways that you can do it too. Never give up on yourself, guys. You are worth it. So with that being said, as I stated yesterday, the topic of discussion for today is learning lessons from toxic relationships. Learning lessons from toxic relationships. So that also, I don't know, like most of my life, that's all I've been dealing with, guys, is toxic relationships. Up until 2022, when I decided enough was enough. I didn't just decide, some traumatic situation that happened, made me go on a healing journey, besides the grief of losing so many loved ones. Constant arguing, jealousy, verbal abuse, and maybe sometimes even physical abuse, breakups to makeups. All of this I'm describing as toxic love. Maybe some of you guys have gone through this, really want this relationship to work. So you go back and forth, in and out, round and about with someone. And in my case, a lot of times I would say, hey, we need to try to see if we can do couples therapy or do this or do that. And then the partner will agree to do that and then wouldn't show up for the session. That's the kind of stuff I was dealing with. I have been in these situations so many times, guys. I can write 3 or 4 books about it. And Like I tell you guys, I'm trying to get some more music on here. Like I tell you guys, people, situation, and circumstances will always continue to show up in our life for a reason, a season, a lifetime, or a lesson. And for me, there's so many unlearned lessons, and I wasn't getting it. One relationship ended, pain, crying in a corner. Then, not too long after, okay, we're going to try this again. Another situation, different character, same scenario, toxic love. I have been in this situation so many times that I even know what it looks like in my sleep, guys, literally. Until I learned the most important thing was for me to love me and put myself first. And I also figure out, because I do therapy, I'm in therapy myself, and it has helped me a lot. I think since 2020, I've been with my therapist, seeing my therapist rather, and it's helped because that's an outlet for the pain, to speak about it. I remember, guys, I grew up in a house where when traumatic situations happen and things happen, I grew up thinking, because this is what I was always taught, what happens in this house stays in this house. Nobody talked about it. We recognize it happened, then we just keep going. But if you don't talk about it and you don't do the work, that pain stays stuck deep within. How can you heal if you're not addressing a traumatic situation? You're just carrying that baggage from place to place, from connection to connection, etc., and so forth. And I was told, no, what happens in this house stays in this house, but nobody ever heals from that. Until I learned the most important thing was for me to love myself and put myself first. Because how can I give love to another individual if I don't know how to love me? Right, guys? You have to learn to love you first, because you are important. And when you heal the brokenness within and you feel better, you do better. You self-care, you self-love. Because how can you give to somebody else when you can't even give to you? And that was the thing that I had to learn, learning lessons. I was so codependent on these broken, toxic relationships, and I didn't realize back then all I had to do was to heal, to look at the elephant in the room, to address it and not ignore it as that elephant was growing and getting bigger and bigger. And I'm squeezing all around it, but not acknowledging. When I use the elephant, I use it as a metaphor to describe pain. It's getting bigger, it's getting worse, but I'm still moving around it, and not really addressing it. So, all of this with me started when I was 26 years old, because I had a lot of issues with abandonment issues, losing family members and people and stuff, not to passing away, but because family members that belong to cult-like religious organizations and getting excommunicated at a tender age of 23. So, looking for love, and the song, looking for love in all the wrong places and spaces or whatever, that was me. So at the age of 26, my journey with toxic relationships started. Living part-time with a partner. But the good thing about this was I kept my apartment. I didn't give up my space. I was there most of the time. And, I thought this was the perfect mate for me. We both worked. I stayed there a lot. And we even, I had cats there, and I had 2 cats, and, everything seemed to be good until this ex cheated on me. And I mean, because there were signs of stuff and I started addressing situations and got the truth, back then, now I'm 27 years old back then. So I didn't know healing at the time, didn't know anything about healing, whatever. I went into a rage, guys. You did what? In a bed that we share and sleep in? Well, it didn't mean anything. What do you mean it didn't mean anything? And so the argument was vicious, to the point that the breakup was bad, because I'm not going to stay with a cheater. And I couldn't get through that. And it got to the point where I was so angry that I started cutting up everything, you know. And history repeats itself, guys. I'm talking about this because this is going to help someone. My mother did that to my dad. At some point something happened, which I'm not going to talk about. And then I found myself in a situation like this, and I just, started destroying clothes and stuff. And, it's just, and then I packed up my stuff that I had there and took it back to my apartment. And of course, I'm going to get a phone call about, what happened, what I did. And I'm like, well, this is your fault. And it just, it was bad. And this is not the way you do things, but, it happened. And then, what, going into pain for a long time to get over that, and it took a while to get over that. And then guess what, guys? After getting over that, I have some notes here. Going into a new connection, someone a lot older than me. And I remember I'm still in my 20s, late 20s, and didn't expect to get into this relationship and then falling in love with someone who's not in love with me. So after 6 or 7 months, it's like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore, blah, blah. And I was devastated, crying, begging, let's try to do whatever, however, to make this work. And when I look back on that, I cringe because the person I am today, it's a little embarrassed about it, but when I think about it, I don't have to be embarrassed about it because I didn't do the work to heal. And when you're broken inside and you have pain, we go through stuff, but it's a learning lesson because none of us are perfect, and none of these things come with a book of instructions. We have to feel our way through this. So I kept, oh my goodness, just in the middle of the night, and back then I didn't have a car or anything. I'm on a train going, to this person's house in the middle of the night and begging and crying and doing a whole bunch of, and I look back on this and say, how could I want to be with somebody who didn't want to be with me anymore? But that's how, and I'm describing this to you guys because that's how low my self-esteem was. It was in the ground. But, after a while, I was able to get over it and move on. And now we're going to speed up a little bit because to 2022. All the other relationship, I was in a 10-year relationship. I talked about that. Very abusive, very toxic. Didn't want to leave it because I always, as a Virgo, want to fix stuff. Let's fix it. Let's go to therapy. Let's do this. It's always promises of, we're going to do therapy. So I say, okay, I'm going to make the appointment. We're going to get together, blah, blah. And of course, they never show up for the appointment. So it's just talk. So then things are good for a minute, then it goes right back to that. And I think with the 10-year relationship, what really got to me is that this ex was charming, very narcissistic, arrogant at times, but very charming. And when there would be a disagreement, excuse me, or something, the makeup was, nice gifts, being romantic. It's like being with a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like somebody who's have two double personality or something. And I just wanted to make that work so bad because I really wanted that to be my last relationship. It had been about 10 years, before, I said to myself, how much more of this can I take? And it got to the point towards the end of the relationship. It was really bad. My son is watching this play out and it's not good. And I just couldn't shake, like let go. Every time, this ex came back, oh, it's going to be better, I promise, etc., so forth, and blah, blah. And it would be better for a month, and then it go right back. And then it would be worse than ever. When people get to the point of a relationship when they talking about, doing things to you and to hurt you even more so, that's a red flag. That's beyond a red flag. So towards the end, I had had enough of the abuse and I wanted out. It didn't matter. So that ended. I was by myself for a while. Then I met someone, let's say 7 months into the relationship. This is when I also decided to heal, because the betrayal from this was worse than any betrayal that I ever had. Because it wasn't just a betrayal, but it was a horrific deception. And the deception was so bad because this person wasn't who they said they were. And that I'm not going to go into details from it because, I had a hard time even with my therapist talking about what this was. And it was really, really not a good thing to do. But it was traumatic for me. And between dealing with that and then the losses of my mom dying and all this other stuff going on with the deaths and trying to heal from that, I took a time out from it all. I have to do something different here because I never felt pain that bad from that situation. And it felt like after that, everything felt like entering the dark night of the soul, where God sat me down, sitting in the pain with no one there to console me. Because 2020, shortly thereafter, just sitting in the pain of it all. And that last situation really woke me up. It's like, and then this person had the audacity after doing this betrayal and how someone does something and it's so horrific and they try to gaslight you, like, what are you talking about, kind of situation. And this is when I cut off, block, and delete all of it. I need to go heal so that I can make better decisions for my life, so that I could be better. So one of the things I learned as I went into therapy, after, sitting in pain, which I call the dark night of the soul, because I didn't have anyone that I could turn to talk to, because everybody they wasn't there anymore. Friends or anyone, they just wasn't there. And I had to sit in that pain of everything. So, one thing about that, being in that dark night of the soul, crying my eyes out every night to sleep, just, talking to God a lot and asking him why I have to go through these things and what is it that I need to do different. And what I needed to do was to learn lessons. What else I needed to do was to not repeat toxic situations. Learn the lesson, address the elephant in the room, and understand why I had such a low self-esteem and the behavior of attracting narcissistic individuals and situations. And then as I did the work in therapy, it had a lot to do with abandonment issues growing up. And so as I addressed those issues, which is the elephant in the room, and started to talk about it and really work on myself. It's hard, guys, because you got to look at the pain. And it's not easy to look at these things because a lot of times we just want to go through the motions of it all and not look at anything else. And I had to, because that last thing that happened was really, really not good. And I learned that I had some codependency issues and I had to work on that. So I learned to drop the codependency, but in order to do that, I had to learn to not just trust God, but to love myself and to choose myself over toxicity. That I had a decision in a matter, guys. You have a decision. When I understood that I don't have to repeat patterns because my mom had that kind of situation or my other sibling or whoever had that I had to have that too. I had to learn that I could change that situation for the better, and that I had to heal from the inside out to build up my self-esteem, to self-love, and to know that I don't deserve toxic love. Learning to let people leave instead of begging people to stay. If somebody don't want to be with you, why are you begging them to stay? Let them go. Wish them well. It was so important for me to be able to do that. But I had to learn to love me, that I was worth it. And this is why I'm talking deeply about these things, because any listeners who might be going through these types of situations or who might not be able to communicate them, but you can listen and hear that you have a choice in a matter. You don't have to stay in toxic situations. You don't have to put up with things that are not for your highest good. I did that for half my life. I'm a lot older now, but I did that half my life. And as I started to address these things, cry my eyes out, ask God to help me, stay in prayer with these things got better. So I come on this channel, I share my personal experiences to help others and know that they don't have to feel broken and alone. It's a lot of work, guys. I would not be truthful if I told you that it's not going to be painful and it's not going to be a lot of work. But nothing ventured is nothing gained. And yes, you can heal. You can put yourself back together. You don't have to be broken down like Humpty Dumpty. You can put yourself back together by healing, addressing the elephant in the room, looking at the pain. None of us is perfect. But as we go through these trials and tribulations and we come back from them, we come back stronger, better, bigger than ever. And I know I have. And it took a long time for me to even be able to get to the point to talk about these things. No one, I'm telling you guys, would have believed that I could crawl my way back out of the bottom of the barrel, with everything that I've gone through. But guys, but God. When you have God in a picture and you ask Him to help you and you do the work little by little, and the things that help me a lot, where my life is so different, I don't even recognize the old me anymore. And people who see me from the past, they wouldn't even know how to interact with me because I am not the same Lisa as I was before. That subservient woman who did whatever, a partner or family or any friends wanted, but put my needs on the back burner just to keep people in my life. That's not a life, guys. I had to learn to be able to know my worth. What did I want? What was important to me? I have forgot about those things because they were on the back burner while I was being subservient to other people, being their doormat, for far too long. But when I looked to God and asked Him to help me, And I don't know how to do this. This doesn't come with a book of instructions, but help me. God did that. He changed my life in so many ways. I would never thought that I would be on here talking about these things, better known than other stuff, guys. But I'm not the same as I used to be. And people around me are starting to notice that. Some people love the new me, other people can't stand it. But okay, I can give them that. They don't have to like the new me. But they're not going to manipulate me and twist me into the old version of who I used to be. And they know that quickly because I don't, before I used to hold things in. Today I'm going to tell you and then I'm going to leave it like that. Because I have gone through so much hell and trials and tribulations. And then when people don't get their way with me anymore, when I first started to close doors and to, choose myself and set those strong boundaries, people started lying and saying vicious lies, malicious ones. Just because I've changed, I healed, grew, and evolved and changed for the better. And they don't recognize who this new version of me is. And so instead of trying to get to know the new me, they would, prefer to go and spread some lies and do this and that. And in the beginning, I used to be like really angry about it. But as I continue to stay on this path to heal, grow, and evolve, and to put me first, and as my therapist would ask me, what's important to you? What do you want? And as I started to do a pro and con list and see what I was giving to people and what they were giving to me, I had to set those strong boundaries. And things changed as I made vows to God. I started to make some vows to God. And as I kept those vows, as I do today, and I made the effort to do that, my life changed. God started coming through even more so. And so when I pray to him about situations, he come through like no tomorrow, guys. I'm living proof of that. I had a situation 2 days ago, I won't get into details, but a situation with my health insurance. And something they forgot to tell me when I renewed, my insurance, my health insurance. And the woman on the phone that I spoke to was so with an attitude. And it was just so exhausting talking to her. And it was like, it's either this or that. That's it. And I had to hang up from her. That's how the conversation went. So I had to calm myself down. So, of course, I have music on. So I sat with music, just sitting, talking to God, saying, God, I need a resolution to this situation because I need my insurance and blah, blah, this and that. And, I pay out of pocket for my health insurance. And so how do I resolve this? After sitting with music for about an hour and just talking to God, I just got up and I realized, I went to my account and then boom, I realized what I needed to do. And I made a decision and it was boom. But the woman on the phone wasn't going to tell me that because she wasn't interested in trying to help me, But God, like I said, whenever I sit in prayer and ask him to help me, it gives, I get the clarity and he gives me the answer. So as I do more to help me and help others and those vows I made, God comes through even quicker. Guys, heal what is broken within so that you don't have to carry these burdens with you. And don't feel bad. Don't let anybody make you feel bad about you. We all have something. I as I sit and talk to you guys, I think about when I was, in that relationship when I was in my 20s. I was begging like some dog on the street, begging for a bone or something. That's how broken inside I was to just have someone there. We can make it work no matter what. It doesn't matter. and I was forgetting about me and my own self. But as you start to recognize these things within you and you do the work to heal, you can be a blessing to somebody else who might be going through this. Because as I show up on this channel and talk about these things, some people, men and women, because men listen to me too, might be going through some horrific things, but not everybody feels comfortable communicating those things. They may be dealing with a whole lot of burdens on their back. So me showing up, talking freely, because I'm at the place now that I've healed so much that I can talk about these things, because that's an old version of who I used to be. I'm no longer that person. But I had to do the work to become the person I am today. Guys, know that you are worthy of true love from someone who sees your worth. I have some notes here. And value someone who sees your worth and values who you are instead of toxic love. And know that toxic love isn't really love at all, guys. So let's continue to work and move forward to help ourselves so that we don't stay in a place of brokenness, that we can heal from the inside out. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. But as you put the pieces of the puzzle together, you start to see the background picture and what it is. In the beginning, because none of these things come with a book of instructions. But as you start to do the work, you feel better. You feel better, you do better. One day at a time, one step at a time. It's not going to happen overnight, but I promise you guys, if you continue to move forward, persevere, ask God to help you, and stay in prayer with God. You don't have to have a rehearsed prayer when you talk to Him. Just say, God, I need help with this. Just like I talk to Him like I would if my regular father, my biological father was here. And just tell Him how you're feeling and do the work little by little. And some days you're not going to feel like doing anything at all. And if you don't, then the next day get up and take another step. God sees you. He sees your heart. He sees He sees, your not just your heart, but your diligence to do the work. So He will work with you as you work with yourself, guys. I'm living proof of that. Never give up on you. You are worth it. And know that if somebody is abusing you, and telling you that's love, that's not love at all. That's toxic love. And you deserve the best. But as you do the work and self-love and self-care, you start to do better, and you start to look at yourself and life from a different perspective. Know that you deserve more. That's the message today, guys. And share this video with other folks so that they can get the message, because people need to be uplifted. They need help today. And as you go, as this video ends, there's some links at the end of the video. Here's you see this, guys? I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is essential oils. I have a humidifier, and so I put some of this in there. This is lavender in there, and it just calms the atmosphere, and just especially when you feel nervous or anxiety, or maybe some of you may have some problems and you can't sleep well. These things help me. The chamomile tea, the music, do things to self-care, to uplift yourself, because we got a lot of negative stuff going on in this world today. So take in the good and do what you can to help yourself so that you can be at a better space. That's the message today, guys. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll be back here on Monday. Hopefully that storm doesn't knock out the power, because if I'm not here on Monday, that'll be the reason why. So guys, go take care of yourself. Enjoy your weekend, and I hope to see you on Monday. This is Lisa, shedding love and light, and have a good night, guys. Bye for now.